Jeremy, how did you get involved with the project?
Actually, I was on J-Date, and
This story, by the way, and I told this yesterday, we have varying degrees of how this story actually happened, but there are some facts, but I'd like to hear Jeremy's actual one now.
Ooh.
just the truth as I know it, which is, I'm 200 years old, and I've been acting for 197 years. So to play the ninth lead behind Turtle and to make $11, I figured maybe I could go in and meet these fine people, and they said, "Thank you so much."
You're very welcome. This is where should I jump into? This story does have variations because Sheila Jaffe, who was our casting director, did a great job. She was strict with me when we started. I really hadn't done any shows.
So it was unbeknownst to you.
Well, no, what was unbeknownst, Jeremy was in the first outline ever of this show as playing Jeff Jacobs, who is a different guy, until I met the real Ari and the new Jeremy, who had got himself pretty ripped up and into incredible shape when we saw you. It was a little different than you were on Sanders. I mean, you look good. So he was in the first thing, but I was like, I want Piven for this show. And Sheila, for whatever reason, didn't tell me that she was forcing him to read. And I thought the meeting was to kiss his ass because I thought Jeremy was a big star. So we're in there, and there was just this weird kind of...
there.
But
you were there.
I was there,
But by the way, we should let everyone know, the role
That you were a big star?
No, the role the role itself, all we had was the pilot, and the rest you're theorizing about. And in the pilot, my character had one scene. So at that point, I've been kicking around for a couple decades, and I was executive producing and doing TV and playing with that. So to go to another position where you're playing one scene as a fringe player, I thought maybe I could meet and we could see. So it's not me turning down the Ari Gold role, as you know now, because that's a juicy role that is now in season 8 proven itself to be.
For all these guys, we had no idea what we were doing. And actually, the one thing I think I told Jeremy,
So it was the least, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was the least thought out character, at least in the pilot.
They were all, again, like how I've always worked, nobody was really well thought out,
Exactly.
Honestly, we had 14 characters in the Entourage in the first script, and HBO was like, okay, this is a 30-minute show. There's not going to be 14 characters that actually have things. But I said, the one thing I really know, Jeremy, I know how to write you. I swear to God, this show might be terrible, because I didn't know what it was going to be. But I know how to write you. And Kevin and Jeremy had that scene at Koi, which, was a real standout for the show. But I don't think... No plan ever shifted, and no plan ever, unfortunately for me, I was never able to come up with a plan. So it was all kind of like, I got to know these guys and learn their strengths and stuff. But even, the Vince character, nobody thought we could cast it. If he's 25 years old and he looks like a movie star and he can act, why isn't he a movie star? So there was a time when HBO would say, less Vince, less Vince. So by the time we finally had a script that was a go, Adrian read it and said, there's no character here. There's nothing for me to do, which there really wasn't. And we added a lot of Ari and a lot of Vince, because you did have 3 scenes in the pilot.
And I remember.
But we added a lot of that literally in the last 3 days before we shot this script.
I remember before you had agreed to do the part.
Because we were shooting.
We were on the
before
edge.
signed
We
on.
were shooting
I remember we were standing
12, 14-hour days, and we were all on the edge. And Doug was very anxious at the time, and we didn't know if you were going to say yes. And I remember Doug got off the phone and announced to the crew, we got him. And the whole crew erupted in applause, and everybody was excited. And I'd never seen such relief on Doug's.
Oh my God.
I remember we were at the mansion, and we were like...
At the mansion.
We were at the mansion, the one that ended up burning down, and we were like shooting a take, and he was on the phone during the take, which is distracting, by the way. And then after the take, Doug jumped up and said, we got him. Yeah, because it was like the roll shot the next day, and there was like, it was sort of hanging over the air.
And we were still, I'll never reveal who it was. There was another actor, and Jeremy, as I recall, tell me if I'm wrong, and was his right to do so, but a regular on a television show signs a 6-year deal. It's just the way it is. But Jeremy, because of where he was and because the role was not necessarily going to be a regular, we didn't know, he wouldn't sign that 6-year deal. So I was being told, you cannot have him. It's just that simple. He has to sign the 6-year deal. And I was saying everything, listen, he's the agent. We can write him out, we can do anything, but we got to have him. This has to happen. And Ari Emanuel called from a plane in China, called HBO and said, Jeremy Piven plays me, or take my name off it. So that was the moment. I think that call was either from Ari or Jeremy.
Also, too, that's one of the other benefits about being on HBO, and it's been great, is that they really don't play by anybody else's rules. On a network or whatever,
There's
they probably
no way.
wouldn't have happened. But here on HBO goes, okay, good point. We'll let it. They really do. They really did break the mold and do things their own way. And what they've created over there is just massive.
then
I want to be on Game of Thrones.
You know, it's fun. He wants to direct Game of Thrones. And you know what's funny on the last thing on this, and then we'll talk about all of us. But with Jeremy, after that pilot, I remember I'm like, he's got a 2-year deal. I suggest you guys re-up it right now. I mean, I didn't know we were going to get picked up, but I knew that scene was where I felt we had a shot.